All right, welcome back to the Sideline Report. Marvin Jackson here with Nicki Jhabvala, Lou Holder, and Donna Hopkins. And I want to ask each one of you, what are you most excited about this team about? And Donna, you started out for us.
Hey, you know what? I'm with those fans right now. I almost pulled out my pom-poms because I'm happy about that 3-1 start for this team right now because I didn't see that. It was a possibility, but I'm happy about the direction that this team is going in right now because we haven't even touched this 4 games into the season. And I just believe that this team is going to play even better than what we're seeing right now. So I'm happy about that. I'm gonna keep it short. That 3-1 record right now. I'm going to bask on that for a minute.
Listen, I'm a little bit more macro. I think that I love what Donna just said, but to me, the most exciting part of this whole team is actually the front office. For me and Nicki and Donna and Marvin to actually see and hear the owner talk to the media twice in a month and actually have candid conversations. I mean, about what he's going to do, things that and then to see all the stuff that Adam Peters is putting together in place, and then to see the connection between the alumni and the current players, to see Doug Williams and Jaden Daniels hugging on the sidelines, and to see Jaden Daniels wearing Doug Williams' uniform, his number 17. That to me excites everything because they're playing with house money on the football field right now, but what they are building that we hadn't seen in a long, long time because the ownership group, there wasn't a real culture change. We're actually seeing a culture change, and I think that is feeding in to the football that's being played right now. That front office and getting that thing right was so huge, and that ownership had to sit on it for a year because they got the team so late. And now in their second year, you can see that things are starting to build up there first and it's trickling down. Finally, adults in the room, finally, that is what's exciting a lot of people that know about football, that the base here is solid.
I'm a little less optimistic about the front office than Lou, but I think the quarterback is hands down the biggest piece right now. I mean, this team, like most NFL teams, will go so far as their quarterback will take them. And in recent years, their quarterbacks have not taken them anywhere. They've just cycled through starter after starter after starter. I know it's only 4 games. I think Jaden Daniels is the real deal. These last 2 games were no flukes. He's proved that with his play over, the course of the spring and training camp and preseason. It's steadily been an upward trajectory. And I don't think you can have fluke games like that where you have a 91 completion percentage, an 86 completion percentage, the highest completion percentage of, in the 4 games in NFL history, the more scoring drives and incompletions, like the numbers are exceptional. Is it going to be perfect along the way? Absolutely not. It shouldn't be. It won't be. But I think Jaden Daniels gives them, an absolute chance to be great. Now it's up to the front office, the personnel department, to really give him the pieces that he needs to be successful. Right now, I think they're masking a lot of the deficiencies on the offensive line. I think the receiving corps has a great one in Terry and, a number of other guys that can be good in the right spots. And so far, Cliff Kingsbury has put them in those spots. I think they got a couple of great backs. How long those two stay together, we'll see. But the defense needs help still, especially at cornerback. You're going to need tackles. You're going to need to fill in spots at every premium position. So they got their work ahead of them, but they got the biggest one in the bank, and that's Jaden Daniels.
All right, well, Cleveland coming up, and how do you think that offensive line will stack up against the Cleveland defensive line? They have some pretty strong players on their defensive line, and that might be one of their strengths. How do you feel the offensive line will stack up? Because right now, I mean, I've seen them making some really good blocks. And like you said, they've kind of patched it up and come together with this offensive line that's working well together. And maybe a lot of that has to do with the coaching. But Donna, how do you think they'll stack up against that defensive line of the Cleveland Browns?
Marvin, you almost scratch your head with Cleveland because this was a team in the last 2 years that was supposed to be really one of the better teams. They were building this team to be great, and it hasn't materialized into that. So they've been tripping over their own feet as far as I know you asked me about how they're going to stack up offensive line. And I think this Commanders offense to me right now, because as Nicki and Lou has talked, is Jayden Daniels to me gives them a chance every time he gets out on the field, no matter who's across the other way, because of what he can do with his feet in not staying in the pocket. You look at how many times he's been sacked this year. It's not a whole bunch. You would think that it would have been more when we talk about an offensive line that they're still trying to put together. So I think because of all the pieces they've got, some of the key pieces being Jayden Daniels in that running game, and you look at the production of the Commanders' running game, that is their bread and butter right now. That's the starting point. So I think that when you have a running game and a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, they're going to stack up good against any team, as far as that they face. The quick starts that they're getting off to right now on offense, putting points on the board the last couple of weeks is going to help them also. And they're playing at home because the crowd is going to be out. The crowd in Arizona was loud, but I think that what you're going to see on Sunday with this Commanders team winning 3 games in a row, and the last 2, the way they did, that the crowd is going to help them a lot also. So I think that the Commanders stack up well against Cleveland, a team that's still trying to kind of like figure out who they are, and then their quarterback situation has been a bit disappointment. Watson came to Cleveland, was supposed to be their saving grace, but he's been anything but that.
They lead the league, I believe, in sacks, 19 sacks on Watson. I mean, so is that good for our defensive line and our linebackers? Are they kind of feeling pretty good about that, Luke?
You need more play from Allen and Payne. It's just not there. I mean, if that's one disappointment that I can say is that, I mean, I know you're going to get double teamed and things of that nature, but at some point they need to have breakout games. It's good to see Dorrance Armstrong. It's good to see other people, but those are the 2 people that you paid big time to disrupt stuff in that backfield. And this would be a great time because now, as they're getting more and more confidence and people are seeing certain things, I would think from that stat that you just mentioned, Marvin, and what Donna said, that this Cleveland team is still trying to figure themselves out. This would be a great way off defensively for Allen and Payne to get more disruptive. And you have to win home games. Home games and division games, like I said before, are a premium in the NFL. And right now, those 2 road games that they won, I mean, that's in the past. You have to win home games. And when those division games come up, you have to win those. That's how you start a trajectory of building a franchise, and it's something that you can build on is winning your home games, which they didn't win much of last year, and then when those division games come around, winning those as well.
This just might be a great game for our defense because of Cleveland playing so poorly on offense, right?
The whole defense, because that secondary, like Nicki said, still a problem.
Yeah, the secondary is a problem, and they get gashed up the middle in the run game. So yeah, no, it's a gift for Washington's defense.
Nicki, did I hear that Nick Chubb might be playing this week?
I think so. We'll see. I mean, it kind of depends on how he practices this week, but that could give him a boost. But yeah, I'm kind of amazed that Deshaun Watson has been as bad as he is. I mean, I think it's bordering on possibly the worst contract in sports at this point. The Bobby Bonilla deal, which I think is exceptional. We all wish we had that deal. But this is, I mean, he counts $28 million against the cap this year, and the next 2 years he counts $72 million each. It's just absurd, and he's not good. So it's a bit of a problem. I don't know how you build with that, but it's good for the Commanders this
Doesn't
week.
it feel good to talk about another team's quarterback?
Oh man, she goes. He's just not good.
Not good at, but you know what? The crazy thing is when he left the Texans coming to Cleveland, you thought that he was going to set them on fire. I mean, he had the problems when they got him, but he has not even stepped up. You don't see the fire and the passion that you see in Jayden Daniels in Watson. I mean, to me, I'm sure that they're scratching their head of why he hasn't taken off yet, but he's digressed a lot in the last 2 or so years that, like Nicki said, he's just terrible. And hopefully he'll stay that way when they play this week.
Right.
Come on, breakout.
I will say with the Commanders right now, although it's fun, like you said, you gotta. Like Eddie Jordan from the Wizards had a saying a while back. He said, "You better harvest your nuts, right? You better get all the wins that you need to get right now, because sooner or later, offensive and defensive coordinators are going to start figuring out things, and then injuries happen. So it's better for Washington to take care of these teams that are still trying to figure their way out when they're on a high right now, and don't let games like this Sunday coming up get away from them, because they clearly are the better team. They're playing better. They're going to be at home. You can't let those games slip away, because it's going to get tougher as the year goes on because of those factors."
That's right. The Commanders rank second in the league in first downs, and the Browns rank 28th in the league in first down. So that tells you a little bit about these
defense got to get them off the field.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Marvin, and then the Commanders are sixth overall in the NFL on offense, and I think that they're third as far as scoring right now. So, I mean, you like those stats a little bit.
Then after this game, though, you got the Baltimore Ravens right up the road. That's going to be an exciting game. We don't want to talk too much about it right now, because we want to take it one game at a time, but that's going to be an exciting game. And if Washington can win against the Browns and then go up to Baltimore with a 4-1 record, that's going to be some kind of game. Let's move on to talk about the NFC East. What is going on with the Cowboys and the Eagles? We have a few minutes to talk about that. I did not think the Cowboys were going to be good this year. That's no surprise to me. But what about the Eagles? I mean,
I have intel from up there. I mean, they weren't happy with Nick Sirianni at the end of last year, and the coordinators that they brought in was just a masking that, Jeff Lurie said, you got to do something. But I mean, the body language against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was just so indicative of just, it's not just Hurts and his mistakes and everything like that. They miss Kelsey, they miss the leadership, they miss a lot of stuff there. But I really don't think they believe anymore in Nick Sirianni. I just feel that he's lost that team. They're playing lackluster. And for people in Washington, great. Great that the Giants and great that the Cowboys and great that the Eagles are floundering around. And for once, at least for a short bit of time, the Washington Commanders are the ones that people are talking about. Yo, that's legit versus the other.
I can't believe that Marvin said that he thought the Cowboys wouldn't be good. I mean, they wasn't going to be the rocket team in this NFL, but I still expected them to be better than what they are. They came out the gates. Dak signs a big contract, but they've had their run defense, as far as their running game, for the last couple of years hasn't been there. And then you lose Michael Parsons this week and they play the Steelers, and you lose him this week for a high ankle sprain. So yeah, you don't know when he's going to be back, but they have quite a few injuries. The offensive line, a lot of people, they lost a lot of people. So that's what you're seeing right now. But I think Dallas is still in the conversation because it's too early right now. But I'm most surprised. And the Giants, everybody figured that they'd be who they are. But I'm like Lou, what has happened to the Philadelphia Eagles? The bottom has just fallen out from under that team. And I'm like Lou, I think that they're quitting. They'd already quit. And I look for maybe a head coaching job before long up in Philly if things don't get better.
Hey, Nicki has the last words.
Yeah, I mean, I just think everything with Sirianni is completely fallen apart. I think it shows two things. This is why the Commanders did not care at all if they were sending Jahan Dotson to Philly. They could probably see it. What does it matter, you know? But also Jason Kelsey. I mean, he's a center. Usually you don't, put a spotlight on the center, but he's not your typical center. And losing him was detrimental to that line. And that line was the star of that team. They had a ton of other pieces, no doubt, but that line was exceptional with Kelsey, and losing him has been a big blow. But yeah, they got a lot of work to do. And Fangio's defense, it's a great defense when you have the right pieces. It usually takes a couple years. It is a tough defense to learn for guys. And I've seen it at multiple stops. It's complicated. There's a lot of, if this, you do that, if that, you do this. And, guys have to be on their P's and Q's. And it puts a lot of onus on the safeties. So if you don't have the right personnel, if you don't have enough time to really get up to speed, it's tough. But yeah, I thought the Cowboys would be a little bit better. I didn't think the defense would fall off quite like it has. They still have some tremendous players on that side of the ball. Losing Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence this past week is huge losses. But Micah hasn't been playing like himself for much of the season either. I still think they can bounce back. But yeah, so far the NFC East is bringing back memories of 2020.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Nicki +1, and also, as always, Donna, Hopkins, and Lou Holder. So for the Sideline Report, I'm Marvin Jackson. We'll see you next time on the Sideline. Take care, everybody, and enjoy this upcoming game against the Browns.